All right, let's see if this is working here. Hey, I was trying to take a look and see if this is happening or not. It is happening. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stream. I am here with something unusual. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be here for a while. If this is working here. And I'll be reviewing the live stream occasionally. Wait a minute. I could do this with I guess I can't. So anyway, I'm going to talk about Hunter x Hunter. Now, I know it's been a long time. This series is not, it's not upon us. We haven't had this series back in 3 years. And I miss it. A lot of people miss it. But back when it was coming out, I had so much fun reacting to it and talking about it and doing content for it. But those days have long since passed, unfortunately. I will say this. If the series comes back, I will react to it. But there are several factors of which Togashi's age and health and Miura's passing, to me, are probably the biggest indicators that this series might be in jeopardy. Because Miura died at the same age Togashi did from the same profession he did. So that adds to the realization that doing these manga chapters and these stories at an older age it takes an absolute toll on you, let alone when you're younger. You know, Oda, the god himself, takes weeks off, but he's a different caliber of worker. He owns the industry in a lot of ways. Like, Oda's the benchmark in Japan. Like, if you're a mangaka, you want to be Oda. And Togashi was in a similar ballpark, but having done much less content. Like, Togashi, his writing speaks for itself. He comes up with some brilliant ideas, some brilliant characters. He puts them in this world that's convincing and that wants your involvement. He includes the reader in his writing. Whenever there's a rising action, Togashi always makes sure to ask questions as the plot rises. So it's not just that it's getting more exciting. You're also asking more questions as the excitement goes up. And that's why Togashi's writing is so fantastic. It's because at the end of the day, his writing is mature and fascinating. Give me a minute. There's something in my eye. I need some eyelash. Is that better? I think so. So, Togashi's writing and his ability to captivate the reader is what makes all of us fans of his work, right? I'm on the Hunter x Hunter Reddit because where else are you going to go today? There's no other content, right? And I thought for a live chapter, I might go ahead and I have to edit this. That would be helpful. Okay. All right. Edit this. So I have that there. But Hunter x Hunter's dead. this is the bad part. There's 680 people online and 466,000 users. Look, the fact that the story might never come back is something I've thought about for a long time. I know people don't want to talk about that, but it's a possibility that I've thought of. Like maybe Togashi just said, I'm not interested in this anymore. I want to go into retirement in my 50s and 60s, and I just want to go live out the rest of my life. I'll let the fans come up with the plot, and the pandemic on top of it, clearly being a contributor to this delay. But other mangaka have continued their work, Oda being one of them. The point is, I think Togashi's mindset and personality and his age are all going against the fact that this series can continue. You know, I feel like who he is as a person, he's highly intellectual, but at the same time, he only wants to do the work if it's at its absolute best. He's a perfectionist in a way. If he feels doubt or reservation, he won't do it. And to me, the passing of Miura and the fact that he's 50, 4 or 5 or something like that, I feel like he doesn't want to set his time to this series. He has a wife. I don't know if he has children, but I know he has a wife. But the point is, especially if he has children, maybe he's like, I just want to be there for my family. Because doing this work, what people don't understand, I have mad respect for Oda, and I know I talk about One Piece's writing, but Oda is a god because he puts out work for the period that he has. He's done it consistently, and the art is always consistent, even like at Dressrosa where it kind of got shitty comparatively. It's better than a lot of other people could do on a weekly basis. And that's after he's already pumped out 1,000 chapters. Like this guy has done incredible work. The fact of the matter is, we have to differentiate work ethic from the product. Oda is a god from his work ethic standpoint, his consistency, and I feel like his overall world building and idealism, it's really good. Even if he is trope heavy, even if he relies on the comeback, main character comes back from certain death and beats the enemy, even if he relies on a lot of tropes and doesn't really get kind of creative in some of his ideas, like if Luffy went dark for a period and then fucking Sabo or Sanji or Zoro had to save him, and legitimately so. But this is the reason why we like Togashi. I think it's clear that Togashi's writing, it invokes a mental state in the reader where you ask questions about yourself, not just the work you're reading. That's a different level of writing. Because at the end of the day, I know Luffy's going to win. Whether if his friends help him or if he finds some power up. There are two ways I know Luffy's going to win. Power up or he gets help. But in Hunter x Hunter, we see time and time again that the protagonists, there are many other forces, even outside of the main characters, that add to the final result. Gon's decision to go adult form and sacrifice his Nen and his potential is a writing choice. It's Togashi's take on Super Saiyan. But it's Togashi's take on Super Saiyan that goes to that next level. He takes a character that has no chance of beating his opponent, and says, well, in my verse, the only way to beat this character is to literally put your entire life into it. And thus he does. And then that action in itself leads to a whole separate arc of rescuing Gon and Gon's rebirth into finding out his father, the journey's end, the ultimate sacrifice and rebirth to find his father. And you can nitpick some of the narrative decisions that Togashi goes for, or some of the side characters. Maybe you're not a fan of how he utilizes some of the side characters. You know, like Tompa. I'm just kidding. Tompa's perfectly used. Like, some of the Zodiac, you want more from them, but clearly that's yet to come. Mizai Storm's on the boat. Jing and Periston, what's their involvement? Like, you have these questions. If anything, Togashi delays a lot of what you want to see, and he does it very well because he's built a world of anticipation. I don't have a sense of anticipation in One Piece nearly as high as Hunter x Hunter. Even though we're at Wano, where a floating island is over the mainland and where Kaido and Luffy are about to square off. That's great. But I can tell you for a fact that Crollo versus Sokka was way more hype to me. Because I knew that the outcome was unpredictable. I also knew that the two characters involved had significant plot points to two separate protagonists, that had their own narratives and conflicts, Kurapika and Gon respectively. And when I saw that fight and how it played out and how it impacted the world that Togashi was writing, it was his magnus opus. Because on the one hand, Hisoka lost and Crollo won, but we were introduced to true Nen after death, not counting Pito, but Nen after death that could still be used by the user. Conscious Nen after death. Hisoka truly introduced that concept in the verse. And of course, Togashi said, let me put this with Hisoka, because now no one knows how strong he really is. That mystery lingers. We want to see more of the character, and I just don't know what's going to happen. That's writing at its highest level, when you want more. Because readers are consumers. We want to see more. We want to experience more. Hisoka's evolution through death, his vow to kill the entire troop, which I still think is tied to his resurrection. I think there's a conscious effect. Like how Gon said, I will do anything to stop this opponent. I will sacrifice all of my potential. Hisoka said, keep me alive so I can avenge every sin from the troop. I will kill every single one of them in my dying breath. And even if you consider it an ass pull, the Bungee Gum revival, it ties into Hisoka's character, his bloodlust state, which was introduced early on, the fact that his will to kill. It's literally a will to kill. But it ties into the after-death Nen system. That's why a lot of us theorize he's going to be a monster when he's eventually shown. But then you have Crollo, this untouchable character who is God. He's amazing. He's also depicted as Judas, the Antichrist, in a lot of, visual settings, a lot of metaphorical settings. The fact that he utilizes and he steals from others, the fact that he borrows their skills for himself. He's very self-centered. And yet Togashi writes the character as having no self-worth. This character uses the powers of others for a cause that's bigger than himself. In fact, it sounds more like Jesus, but he's depicted as the Antichrist. He's a fantastic character. And the fact of the matter is, we're at an arc where we could see more of this character develop. And that's extremely exciting from the writing aspect. We could see more of Crollo come to life. Why did I want to talk about those two characters in particular? Because I've already talked about the Succession War at length in other videos. But that part of the story has been released and unleashed into the world. It set up the suspense of the current story, which we are waiting for in hiatus. The Hisoka Crollo feud was one of the best fights, the best feud conclusions ever. Because it didn't conclude. It concluded a beef between the two characters, but it opened up a whole new world of potential and progression for the two characters involved. It's Togashi's magnum opus. And if ever it gets animated, it'll be a great time when it does, because the animation, the voice acting, the music can only add to that entire sequence and the artistic vision that was meant for it. And one day we can hope that that happens. Because if we never get the manga again, if Togashi goes into retirement and says, look, Hunter, like I wanted to give you a great story, but I gotta call it quits. Well, go to what has been made. Make a fantastically high budget OVA, Crollo vs. Soka fight, maybe 3 episodes, OVA style, super cinematic animation, amazing voice acting, amazing music, and go all out with it. And then maybe we get like some episode that goes over the world, the Kakin and the boat ride, and the 6 countries. And then maybe they can convince Togashi to start working through movies like Toriyama, like premiere animation, special events, and the like. Because right now, episodic manga just doesn't seem like it's happening. And the older Togashi gets, the least likely he is to come back to this stuff. I'm being realistic with you guys. Anyhow, I'm gonna check my chat. We have nothing. We have nothing. But I'm gonna go through and okay, you can see the screen, right? Because my webcam is on the side. We're good. We're good. So I'm gonna go through the Hunter x Hunter Reddit, and I'm just gonna look at some posts and talk about them. That's it. That's tonight's stream. This is nice. A lot of artwork, you know. That's cool. Kaito. I like how it's Kaito. Cool. Oh, this isn't okay. Wait. Oh. Okay, we got a manga relevant discussion: bullets versus conjurers. Oh, I like this one. This is great. It's been a couple of years since I've read this part. I know that Karapika alluded to the threat of firearms, and that like when Bill blocked the firearm with his nen, it was like, oh, he's pretty good. But then we see Benjamin like literally they bounce off him. He's like, hello, I'm the first son of Kakin, bitch. Like, what are you shooting me for? Like, that's not gonna do anything. And that's when then I go into the fact that specialists are not necessarily deficient in their physical prowess, because specialists could still be very physically powerful, because specialists have no affinity to the other types. I know it's opposite to the enhancer, but it's specifically mentioned that specialists are unique. So you could have a specialist physical type, a specialist who is physically dominant, like Benjamin, and still able to make an ability that is utilizing others' abilities, right? Crollo is not as physical as Benjamin. And yet they both share different abilities with different conditions, but it's the idea that, we know that Crollo can use the abilities after death. Maybe Benjamin can't. Maybe Benjamin doesn't have a mechanic for the bookmark, the two abilities at once. Maybe he can only use one finger at a time. Like, we don't really know. But again, Benjamin has a different condition where they have to die to add the ability. So, in a sense, his abilities are more restricted than Crollo's. Thus, he should have access to more power on paper, right? But that's where Togashi can open up a lot of questions. We don't know what the limitations are for Benjamin's abilities. We do know Crollo's, like the whole put the hand on the book. You participate in lending the power. There's a lot there. But Crollo did a great job of creating an organization, which is why he can just take Sean Cortopi's ability and go, I need this for a fight, guys. Put your hand on the book and lend me your power and we'll shake on it. And that's because he developed a group. That lends to Crollo's character, not his power. But with Benjamin, he's taken full advantage of his character as this figurehead and going into this succession war. And the ability is perfectly suited for it. So the death of his men only benefits him as the next leader of Kaki. Oh, wait, whoa! This guy goes into shit. Yo, this guy goes into detail. Wait a minute. Okay, hang on. We gotta. All right, I might need a drink for this one. All right. Now, Kurapika is a conjurer, so he can only use. But wait, not if he's Scarlet Eye mode. Normal Kurapika is a conjurer. His enhancement would be 60%. Right. Yes, enhancers are better at blocking pure physical damage, of course. Yes, Bill was able to block. Bill using Ken to block bullets takes light damage. Right. Correct. Right, Kurapika uses chains to block the bullets. Right. Now that's impressive as hell, but it still shows that Kurapika had to use a defensive mechanic instead of just getting hit by the bullets. And he did. Look at how the art style changes, man. Look at the difference. There's Kurapika now. This was Kurapika like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Yep. Right. So Kurapika holds back to hide his potential intentionally. We know that. So what this writer is basically arguing is that non-enhancers have to try and dodge bullets. I don't think that's really a mystery. Right. Because it's all about your Ren and your Gyo. You're stacking aura into a body part, which then enhances said body part. But enhancers can do that better than anybody. Look at Gon's adult Ken. almost one-shotting a royal guard ant. The point is, only an enhancer could truly do that. Part of the lore, part of the verse. That's why it's so cool when Togashi writes that in part of the ruling of Nen. Like an enhancer can do that, and it's a part of their intrinsic nature to be able to do so. A fully realized enhancer like Uvogin can just tank bullets with ease because literally he's using aura around his body, and it's just like he's enhancing his whole body. Like you can't hurt him. Sniper bullet didn't really do much to him. Explosions like sun or moon. Now, we have to also remember something about this part of the fight. Hisoka was fighting for his life in this fight and was being overwhelmed. Whereas Uvo was taking one, he was fully prepared, his aura stacked, he had no concerns, and one rocket went toward him, a bazooka round, and he was able to put all of his might into it. Hisoka had already expended a ton of aura by this point, and he was focusing on locating Crollo, and the fact of the matter is the whole ability system was overwhelming him. That's why Crollo won. But if someone just like launched an anti-tank round at Hisoka, first of all, he'd probably use bungee gum to just throw it back at you. But if he had to use his raw aura defense as Ren as Ken, I don't know. He wouldn't do as well as Zubo. But I don't know if he would die, because he's been quoted as being one of the physically strongest spider members, right? And so, even though he'd take more damage than Uvo, I don't know if a fully focused and fresh Hisoka would die from that same attack. I don't know. I'm just, I'm thinking about the plot and where he was in this moment here. He had already gone through so much of his aura by this point. Another thing, Hisoka had to catch Goto's coins. He didn't just tank them. Like, those coins would have ripped him to shreds. They were also net enhanced, but the fact of the matter is, he had to use the gum to catch them. Oh yeah, Fury Call. We can't forget about him. He tanked the bullet too. Right, why would you want to take injury if you can avoid it? This is the point. He's trying to put up this facade that he's a conjurer. He doesn't want to unleash Emperor Time for a couple bullets that would give away everything. It just doesn't make any sense, right? Right. 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 Let me check the chat. All right. I think master level hunters can tank bullets if they have their aura control. But the level of which they can tank it varies. If you're a pure enhancer, like Uvo or Benjamin, you don't take any damage. But if you're anybody else, especially maybe a manipulator or conjurer who doesn't specialize in raw aura attacks, you probably are going to get slightly injured by the bullet. But if you're a master level and you're ready for the attack, I don't see why you couldn't survive the impact. That's my take on it. Right. Let's move on to another post. That was interesting though. Yeah. Uh-oh. No kidding. There's no doubt that this is going to happen. I mean, of course it's going to happen. Of course. If Karapika shows up next to Wobble, yeah, like we got a legitimate story on our hands. Like, yes. Okay. Look, I don't see why Hisoka can't start killing people. There's also the theory that he's under Morena's group and he's getting a level 100 power boost, which I think would be like Hisoka going all out and doing everything he can to win and kill the spider. Go to Morena, get the 100 boost. Mwah! I'm just like, yes. Because he's going to kill people just to get power. He doesn't care. And he could kill Kakin military. Like honestly, if Ahsoka just goes through and starts killing all the Kakin military, that would be amazing. Oh, if Illumi's helping him level up too, that would be even better. Like the potential is crazy. Yeah, but in a way, you could also say like Karapika spared him in a sense. So it's like Karapika could have like killed him right there and then in a way, but he didn't. Which also goes into what does Judgment Chain? Is there a limitation? Like if Karapika puts in the Judgment Chain, can he not kill the target until that judgment is fulfilled? We don't know. We don't know that yet. This is. It was only hollow because he thought that they were already dead, and he thought that it was kind of a. But if there's, but he's clearly on the vengeance path again. Bro, like I've been thinking about this. Like, what if Karapika and the troop like somehow work together to fight Saradnik and maybe Hisoka's a random player? What if what if Silent Majority is Hisoka's level 100 ability? These are questions that you have to ask yourself with the whole plot that's been written when you don't know the answer. It's like these are all the things why make Hunter x Hunter so freaking great. Yeah. What? Yeah, I've talked about all this before. Anything else worth reading? Anything else worth discussing? Sacrification? What does that word even mean? You mean sacrifice? I like the word sacrification though. Yeah. It's a cool made up word because a sacrifice is a you can use that as a like a passive like his sacrifice. That's cool though. But sacrification, we talk about mummification or the like, I guess. JoJo reference. Hello, hello. It's all about part six because let's be real here. Part six was being written while Togashi was conjuring this story up. Let's be real. Are you kidding me? All right, look. I know Togashi made the ultimate cat person, and then the animators made the character very, busty in different ways, right? But it's a cartoon. Get over it and move on. Ooh. I'll need a drink for this one. I'm gonna be right back. But we're gonna talk about the Star of David on yo-yos. I'll be right back. There's 42 comments, so that's gonna be interesting. I'll be right back. right. I'm going to find this one very interesting. Discussion on the Stars of David on Killua's yo-yos. Check if anyone's watching the stream. Just 1 second. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. Yep. By the way, this is a Woodford Reserve Bourbon and Ginger Ale, a fantastic combo. Something about Woodford's bourbon, it's hitting the right note of potency, but the ginger ale lightens it up. It's a really good combo. But honestly, any bourbon and ginger ale, whiskey, I'll drink it. Whatever. What? It's a troll. Stop trolling. Why does it have 20 votes up? My man has a clean sausage, if you know what I'm saying. This is why I poured a second drink, because I knew shit was going to get real. He also doesn't eat bacon, by the way. I just want to let you know that. You know, Killua does not eat bacon. What's funny is actually he never ate. Did he ever? Well, the pigs were. Okay, this is a whole headcanon I have to get into. Remember the hunter exam? They cooked the pigs. They never ate the pigs. Yeah. Canonically circumcised. No. Zoldyckstein. It would be Zoldyckstein for the Jewish version, but Zoldyckstein. Look it. Listen. Look here. Look, listen. Even if Killua's family is depicted to be Jewish, does it really matter? One thing I can tell you is that they live on a mountain, isolated from the world, and they kill people. They started a business of killing people, but they're also extremely talented, and they are also extremely into the idea of the man growing up. And I will tell you this, being Jewish myself, there is a theme about bar mitzvah in this family. And one of the interesting things, although this isn't really this is a very orthodox way of thinking, but basically, because Aluka identifies as a girl, identify Aluka as an alien, as a monster, because Aluka, the boy, is not taking on the role of being a man in the family and getting his bar mitzvah, right? And so a part of me is like, yeah, I see the symbolism. It's hinted in there. Like why are all of the Zoldyck children male? And the mother is very possessive of the family. In fact, what's even more interesting is that the family, again, has this split hair color, which also goes into this idea like your eugenics, right? For those of you who don't know, and this applies to both Asian and Jewish traditions, but what people might not realize is that both Asian and Jewish cultures had a lot of controlled breeding. And I'll explain that in just a second. In ancient China, you reproduce within the kingdom. So, and the Chinese kingdoms, the empires were around for thousands of years, multi generations. And then the Chinese natives, they dispersed into other regions in Asia, which is why black hair and auburn features in the eyes are everywhere. You rarely find an Asian who does not have biologically black hair. That is a trait that has come down through literally thousands of years of the imperial way, where that trait just dominated the landscape, and people married and reproduced within a kingdom, within walls, literally within an empire, and those traits were passed on and dominant and just kept going and going and going. Then, in the Jewish population, of course, in a lot of Jewish history, Jews have been segregated to the poorer agricultural settlements in different societies to be farmers, and they sell meat and fish at the markets. They were never really involved in the business society, and they were persecuted a lot in their past. And in that way, certain traits were confined to those communities. And just by chance, most Jews, not all, a lot of Jews are born auburn, and some even red hair. And then you have the rare one-off case where you get like a really Eastern Jew who has blonde traits, but it's very rare. Most Jews have brown, black, or auburn hair, and rarely blonde. But modernization changes all of these things in both examples that I've talked about. The point is, the Zoldyck family clearly has Killua being gray, silver-haired, and every other sibling being black-haired. Now, what does that tell me? Clearly, there's this concept in my mind that Killua is Asian and Jewish. The silver hair, the white hair, could come from the Jews. The black hair could come from the Asians. The Jewish side is his grandfather, his father, and him. They also have blue eyes. That's not something you see in Asian populations. And it's clear that the trait that I just mentioned is dominant on one side. The rest of the family has black eyes, and black hair, which is very typically Asian. This is not a racist thing. This is literally something that has happened from, it's part of society. It's a representation of genetics. Well, not telling you exactly what the genetics of these characters are. It points to some tendencies where you can infer some ideas. Add to that, that Killua is of the bar mitzvah age in the story when he's introduced, and that even makes it more like he could be part Jewish. Like I actually identify him as part Jewish. But clearly, they're all Japanese. Gon, a lot of people actually think he's like a Pacific Islander. Japanese Pacific Islander. Samoan. Like Gon could be like Japanese Samoan or whatever. Japanese Filipino. And people think that of Gon's character. I've read comments where they think that of Gon. Like he's not fully Japanese. Karapika is Japanese and German. Leorio is Japanese and German or potentially even like English or something like that. But these are the ideas you like start asking, because with a fictional work you can take it however you want to go. The author has never told you anything in fact, and that's the best part about it. You can come up with ideas and infer some things you can reflect on. So that's the beauty of it. We don't know the right answer, and that's the best part. Well, yeah. It's clearly stated that specialists can be like anything. Specialization requires conditions, but it allows you to access high levels of all the categories. Yep. Yep. There is a thought that they all have a leadership quality to them. Yep. Sure. Pretty strong. But he wouldn't fucking beat Wolfen. Like he'd have trouble with Wolfen until he went adult form. Let's be real here. Wolfen had unlocked Nen by that point, so a squadron level character with a ant's physiology with a Nen ability, like yeah. Uh-huh. Huh? Oh, stupid. That's like a 15-year-old girl post right there. No offense, but it's. Do I love the character? No. Be careful what you wish for. It's a great read. Like seriously, the Succession War is the writing is, even if it can be lengthy, the overall impact. Like how long have people been talking about the current chapters? Years, because there's so many theories. It opens up so many doors. The Italian opening. Okay. A Shizuku clone. Okay. Correct, and that's what Togashi does great. He shows parallels between both heroes and villains where you could easily see a friendship between the two characters. He's going to lose years of his life. He already has. What are we talking about? He's already losing. So he could lose like 50 years of his life by the end of this arc. And as far as we know, there's no way to add years to your life if you use them for net. Gon used his potential, but it wasn't necessarily his lifespan. But Kurapika is literally using his lifespan. What? Yeah. By the way, this could be like they will all die when I do a 50-year time skip and talk about them dying. Like, you see, like, people need to read between the lines with that shit. As a writer myself, who does, I'm doing some, you know, recreational novel writing, but it's one day gonna be something. I can tell you this: I wouldn't want to give away what's the fate of my characters are in a simple question and answer. Like, no, I'd say, oh yeah, they'll all die one day. Yeah, of course. I think whatever's in that coffin is going to link to Karapika's fate. But we'll see. Like maybe to prevent the coffin from opening, Karapika does have to in fact sacrifice himself. I don't know. Yeah. Yes, yes. Wobble the resurrection. Yes, this theory is really cool. And people that like Wobble is going to have a Nen power that's going to help Karapika. I think that's almost like a guarantee. Come on, Togashi. Like, what else? The power that Wobble has to help Karapika protect him through caring for him. And it probably will manifest from the care that Karapika shows for Wobble. And sorry, her. But Wobble, the little baby girl, does for Karapika. The care and the trust that comes from that. Oito and the whole. The Karapika's our guardian angel. And there's a whole thing about this is Karapika's new purpose. There is a theory that Karapika would settle down with Oito and adopt Wobble as a child and take on the father role and go into the sunset. I mean, Oito's a little older, I think, but not much older. They could easily be in a relationship. So it's like, Karapika, you found your new family right here. Now you got to protect them with everything you've got. But how far do you take that? Vengeance. Because protecting the prince and avenging your clan, again, this is where the crossroad comes, and it's brilliant. Togashi's added this layer of stress where you've got this new desire to protect this innocent little girl and her mother, who could be a family of yours one day, or you go on the Avengers path and potentially lose everything and forgo that, like Gon did with Killua and Jing's pursuit. Like, Gon literally sacrificed chasing Jing in that moment when he said, I'll just use everything. There was no guarantee that he was going to be rescued in that forest. He said, I'll forgo everything, even chasing my father, to beat Pito. That was the level of dedication it took to beat a royal guard. That's why when I hear people talking about how easily Netero would beat Pito or the royal guard, I'm like, no. It would be an extremely hard battle, and judging from the series, ultimately Netero would not be able to kill them. He would injure them pretty badly as well, but he wouldn't kill them. And people think I'm full of shit because they get so hyped about this being the Grand Master of Nen. That's not Togashi's writing style. In fact, look at Master Roshi. Literally, one arc later, Goku's stronger than him. Doesn't mean Netero's a god. He is a god, but the ants are different. Especially when we're talking about a hunter who uses physical attacks. If Netero had like some crazy manipulator ability or some shit, like, yeah, he might be able to fuck with the ants, but he was all about physical damage. And the ants just, they don't... Pito right there, she's not crying because of Netero, she's crying because of Komugi in that whole scene. The point is, Netero's fighting style doesn't do enough damage to these high-level ants. What do you want from me? Like, I'm going by like what I saw to Meriwether. Anything else? Anything else? I'm just trying to make a cool video while I can. You know, something. Who the hell says he's not? Who the fuck is saying he's not stronger? Wait. Who says that? That's true, but that's the whole idea of the whole point of the story is that all of this power doesn't equate to skill. And Komugi has the most skill in Gungi. uh, is this person trying to like wait. Okay. All right, listen. When Meruem unleashed his post-Rose aura, it surrounded an entire palace grounds. Like, it was literally like, and then like Knuckle, like they all said, fuck this, we gotta run away as fast as we can. And then he teleported and tapped them and knocked them out. I'm sorry, but there is no way that depiction indicates anything less than he is stronger than he was. The point is, he absorbed 2 Royal Guards' essence, like 99% of their essence, on top of what he used to be. And then, on top of that, he gained mental enlightenment. What people don't understand about myth, this is a part, again, some people won't know this. What does Merowyn mean? It means the light that illuminates all. What did Merowyn do when he got back to the palace? He used his end, the light, to illuminate everything. And then also, who did he encounter before that? He encountered Buddha himself, the embodiment of enlightenment. The idea is that Merowyn found enlightenment to live up to his namesake by playing Buddha in a game of Gungi, or in this case, a fight. But it's still basically a game of chess. He found enlightenment. And then his ultimate nirvana was dying with Komugi by his side in the last game of Gungi he would ever play. Because in his enlightenment, what did he learn? My destiny as king means nothing. Obtaining enlightenment and happiness is all that I care about. Literally opposing his ant nature, becoming enlightened, and dying a happy ant king. That's the character arc of Merowyn. So when we look at the writing style of the character, we have to look at what it's doing to the power scaling. Of course, Merowyn's stronger when he comes out of that volcanic ash. He's enlightened when that happens. He's been possessed by Buddha's enlightenment, Netero's words. He knows his name. His devout followers have poured their literal souls into him. He is enlightened. But then Komugi literally is nirvana. Merowyn reaches nirvana. That's the idea of the character. And it comes at his death, so he no longer has to, threaten humanity. But he learns that his enlightenment is the ultimate destiny. Here we go. I need another sip for this one. We got a Netero fanboy. Here we go. Here we go. What visible handicap did that leave on Merowyn's body, besides some external damage. The point of the matter that I'm trying to make here is, why wasn't Merrill like limping? Why wasn't he holding his arm? Because it was just his fucking skin being ripped. Zero Hand gave him a blister. Really. His ability to function was not impacted by Zero Hand. Yes, he had rips. He had no... I love Netero, but you can criticize this power scaling bullshit. Zero Hand did nothing to him. It ripped his armor. Yeah, but his being, he was still walking without any visible pain. And that was all of Netero's aura into one attack. You have to remember that. He sacrificed his entire aura reserve in that one ability, and he was scratched by it. That's the author's intent, by the way. I'm not saying Netero's weak. There's a reason why Togashi did that. So that Netero could use the nuke and the rose to hurt Meruem with poison and violence beyond Nen itself, to show the utter cruelty of humanity. There's a reason for that depiction. Not just because Netero's weak. Netero's a god, but he had to resort to the most satanic elements of humanity. That's why the fight was depicted the way it was. But Netero fanboys, they will be blind for life. Correct. Yeah. Yep. Thank you. This debate still, to this day, this debate still goes on. And I have people arguing on my past videos. I've always said, I think that Netero would injure the guard, like break bones and shit, and cause maybe even internal bleeding. But like Pito has a healing factor. Why are people forgetting that? Like she broke her arm, she could probably go heal it in like 20, 30 minutes. So you're telling me Netero would be fine? Like, okay, round 2, they come back. I don't know. Like, that's the point, right? Yes. Because Killua doesn't live with Netero. Pito actually experienced the aura of, by the way, let's remember something key here. We got to remember this. When Komugi was injured, he Meruem let out an aura that shook froze her in air. She was like, oh my God. That was Meruem's intent, his emotion. When she experienced that effect, she was exposed to a level of power. Because what's the most important thing to Meruem? Komugi. And in that scene, he unleashed aura that completely shut her out. So this point is nullified. By the aura capacity that Gon was emitting, Pito reflected and thought, this Nen could damage the king. Because she felt that just a couple hours prior with Komugi in Meruem's arms. That aura was released. And there could have been off-screen moments where Meruem unleashed a torrent of aura. But the point is, we know for a fact that the aura emitted in that scene caused Pito to freeze in air. That was Meruem's intent. So we know that she has a feeling for how strong Gon became in that form. And she even admits, this character can beat me now. Because she felt that aura. God, people just need to pay attention. I have someone on my side here. Wait a minute. Wait a fucking second. Correct. That's correct. This is also my thinking as well. Well, yes and no. If Meruem learned how to use Gyo, he'd probably destroy a guard. But yeah, he doesn't know Gyo, right? Yep. How can you argue with that? Look, he's including Poof's ability, Beelzebub, who could easily counter Netero's Buddha. Poof could literally just appear right behind him, which I've mentioned in this video a long time ago, and just literally stab him through the back. What's Netero gonna do? Nothing. Thank you. It's all about scaling. If you double the damage that Meruem took, you're still talking about something that won't kill a guard. Even 3 times, we're talking about broken bones and shit. 4 times, you probably need 5 times more damage to really start to incapacitate a guard. And Netero just did not display that power. Would he injure a guard? Yes. Yes, he would. He would. With the flurry, yeah. But would the guard be so stupid as to keep attacking him? Would Pito just keep launching herself at those hands? Maybe she would heal and think about what hands he's using. Because, again, people also think Pito's dumb. I'm like, she probed the human mind to find intelligence on what the hunters do. She's actually depicted as a scientist among the guard, a medic, a medical specialist, a scientist, someone who can like probe a mind. Yeah, she might not be inherently a strategist, but she's perceptive. Look at uh, Yuppie. Literally evolves physically and mentally during a fight. Now, it's arguable if Yuppie could create a physical form that could just like tank through a Buddha fist, but the fact remains he did evolve his body several times, and he has the AoE explosion, which would probably fuck with Netero from long range. Like, if Yuppie just blew himself up and unleashed that explosion, like, he'd probably blast Netero away. Like, Netero would have to keep his distance. And again, poof, we have the example. So it's like, I don't know, guys. I just think it's ridiculous. Yeah. Right. Hello. Yes. All right. Yeah. So with that in mind, I think, and I see someone's joined the discussion. Welcome. But yeah, I'm just going through this forum and seeing what I see. Anything else? Okay, we'll end on this one. We're gonna end on Gon as the main character, and you know, if you're watching, thank you for joining. But will Gon come back as a main character? I'll end on this one. I think Gon, his journey has not come to an end because his family is clearly involved in the Dark Continent itself with Dawn Freaks. When we learned about Dawn Freaks, I immediately knew there's a purpose for Gon somewhere here because the Freaks line has been the main hunters for humanity. So the Freaks line wants to learn about the mysteries of the world. Now, it could be that Jing takes over and is the new main character when we get to the Dark Continent. I think that's amazing. Like, imagine going from the shonen, like, teenager to the father. And then you focus on the father in the self-discovery arc. It's kind of the opposite way to do it, right? Normally you start with the main character and then their child takes over. Like is in life, like the parents give to the kids and say, like, you're going to take over for me. But in this case, can you imagine if Jing became the focus of Gon? Gon did his part and achieved a lot and sacrificed a lot. But then you have Jing, who we don't know a lot about, realizing his full dream of finding Dome Freaks. And that, to me, is a story that is worth its weight in gold. If Jing hunting for Dome... Come on. Jing hunting Dome. I can't write a better story at this point. Jing's quest to find Dome with some fucking god-tier hunters beyond Netero. Yes. That's my ultimate dream. Like that's what I want this series to end up at before the very end. I want Jing's journey to find Dome. That's what I want. And then Dome is like, sitting in some tree, like, instead of the one Gon went up, it's like, it's a full grown tree. It's like 10,000 feet in the air. It's like, it's in the literal, ozone layer. Like it's in space. And then you can see, and then from the tree, you can see space and all the stars and all the planets. Like that's the view you get from the real world tree. And that's where, like, that's, to me, is the... that scene would be worth its weight in gold. And we may never get it, but you can dream it, right? I could dream that Jing's like, I chased the whole Dark Continent to find you. I finally did it. My life's work coming to an end. And then Dawn's like, are you satisfied? And he's like, yeah, the journey was well worth it. And then Dawn's like, I'm glad. And then Dawn's like, this tree is yours. You are now the inheritor of the Dark Continent. Do what you will with it. That's why we're sad about this series ending. It's because of the potential. I just don't know if it's ever coming back. It's fun to make videos like this once in a while. And I do see someone's watching, so I appreciate you watching. I don't want to end this prematurely, but I'm on a little bit of a delay between me and the result of the footage, so I'm just like, what else? I'll look through a couple more articles. Let's do that. If you have any thoughts, like write them in the chat. I will review them before I go offline if there are any. So. Please do, because this will be on the site as a Hunter x Hunter anime discussion video. I will have this up there. Oh, come on. What do you think? Yeah, thank you. Let's find one more good post. That's a cool skateboard deck. Actually, this is an interesting question. Pito to me was the most selfless of the three guards. As long as Meron was happy, Pito was happy. So if Meron was truly happy by the contribution of the two other guards, Pito would have been very happy for that. Nope, I don't think so. Thank you, correct. The gay. Moving on. The sexual innuendo is apparent in that scene, but it's also kind of funny, like because it's about Nan and yeah, it is very sexualized, but whatever. Ugh. The whole arc is sexualized. Let's be real here. That's decent to end on, but I'll end on something even better. Hmm. Interesting. They wished I would become human. Huh. Interesting. I think Zig. I think Zig bringing it back unintentionally is the most sense. Yeah. I think that's the most realistic. No shit. Yes. Oh, what are we doing here? What why, man? Like are you trying to cause a war? They can see each other's abilities in Nen. Okay. Hisoka's not involved. Yeah. Well, that's true because like I would say only White Album um what the fuck's his name? Alfredo? Is it Alfredo? The invisible guy. I'm blank. Metallica and Diavolo would have a chance. Otherwise, the other, like Beach Boys. What, Beach Boys against Shizuka? I mean, Beach Boys is pretty fucking broken, but start a war. This post could start a war. Like Grateful Dead. Like what? Like seriously, what are they gonna do against Grateful Dead? Grateful Dead comes out and they all turn into 90-year-olds. What do you do against that? Like not even Crollo. Like Crollo wouldn't even be able to turn his book. Risotto, thank you. Thank you. I still think the troop win, but I'm trying to like think of all of the situations. Yeah, they do have Pain Packer. We gotta Gotta remember that. Does Green Day count as a squadra? I think they do. You're telling me Oasis? Oh shit. They don't. Do they count? Formaggio, pesci, sorbet, and gelato. What? Oh, come on. This site's trash. Thank you. Okay, so they don't count. It's pesci, prosciutto, formaggio. I think formaggio's trash, honestly. Like, get rid of formaggio. Illuso, Illuso needs to be protected while his baby maker does work. And Maloney, what the hell does Maloney even do? Shows how much I remember. Gaccio, sorbet and gelato, not. I mean, the Phantom Troop don't really need to communicate that much. Their powers are pretty amazing. So literally, we're looking at risotto, pesci, and giacchio and prosciutto as being threats. No. No. The Troop are winning. If it included the Green Day and Oasis, then I would get a little more like interested because, dude, what the fuck are the Troop gonna do against Oasis? The dude's swimming underground. Like, what are you gonna do? He's gonna pop up and kill you, son of a bitch. And he can also like flurry you with kinetic energy that's way beyond what, like, okay, Uvo Gid would probably survive an Oasis barrage, but probably not. I don't know. That's tough. What? But is King Crimson's not involved in this though. Like, well, if King Crimson's involved, look, I love Hunter x Hunter, but for the Phantom Troop to go against fully realized King Crimson with Epitaph, no, no, sorry, it's not happening. No, no, I love Hunter x Hunter, but King Crimson one shots his opponents. That's the point of the character. He kills you with one shot because you don't realize it's coming. It's like if the hunt, like, even if Fate Tom was like, I'm gonna prepare for Pain Packer, King Crimson's just gonna fucking chop your head off. Like, he's gonna stab you through the spine. You're not gonna be able to use Pain Packer because you're dead. It's not because, like, no. Yeah, Green, yeah, Green Day. Yeah. Shizuku gets bodied by Giacchio. I agree with that. Maloney's babyface, okay, Maloney's babyface is somewhat strong enough for Nobunaga. Right. So there's assumptions with him. Formaggio is useless in the situation. Yeah. Man in the Mirror is only stand users. Exactly. Prosciutto is bad at close range, and its effect is slow, and we can't reliably have him grab someone to drain them of age. But can you? If you, for example, if Giacchio freezes somebody, I bet you anything Prosciutto could grab them, right? So again, it's all about how the writing of the fight goes. Prosciutto's stand is bad at close range and its effect is slow. Yeah, it is. Bro! Oh, that would be brutal because the string reflects damage. Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah, it depends. Like you have to kill Phaeton. Like if they leave him alive, they're signing their own death sentence. The whole squad will be wiped out. Yes. If Uvagin, like big bang impacts, they're all dead. Like, yeah, I get that. It all depends on how the fight breaks out. I will say that the Phantom Troop has a much better initial impact, but if the La Squadra is separated and they're more one-on-one fights, that's where it gets interesting. So that's where I put it. All right. I think that's going to do the stream for tonight. I hope it was a fun discussion. I'm going to put this in the Hunter x Hunter channel playlist. It's been a while, but I wanted to do a live reaction and read and come up with some cool discussion topics. So anyway, I hope that was fun, guys. This will be on record. Leave comments in the video. You know, they'll be on the channel, and we can talk about things and get a discussion going. But until next time, I will see you